World War I, a comprehensive overview, approximate 5,000 words. World War I, which broke out in the summer of 1914 and lasted until late 1918, was one of the deadliest and most transformative conflicts in modern history. It was not merely a military confrontation between warring armies, but the beginning of the end for major empires, the rise of a new form of global politics, significant societal and economic shifts, and the dawn of modern industrial warfare. To understand this deeply rooted conflict, we must look back at Europe before the war to examine the tense political conditions, colonial competition, nationalist struggles, and complex alliances that made the continent a powder keg waiting for a single spark. Europe, in the late 19th century, was the dominant power globally, politically, economically, and militarily. But it was also a stage for intense rivalry among major powers, including Great Britain, France, Germany, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, Tsarist Russia, and the Ottoman Empire. After the unification of Germany in 1871 under Bismarck, the European balance of power became unstable. The newly unified German state aspired to a global position equal to Britain and France in terms of economy, naval strength, and colonies. This rapid rise alarmed traditional powers, especially Britain, which feared for its naval and commercial supremacy. France, on the other hand, held deep resentment toward Germany after losing Alsace and Lorraine in the Franco-Prussian War of 1871. Recovering these territories became a persistent French aspiration for decades. Tsarist Russia sought expansion in the Balkans, seeing itself as the protector of Slavic peoples, which brought it into conflict with Austria-Hungary, which ruled over many Slavic populations and feared nationalist uprisings. Meanwhile, the Ottoman Empire was in decline, having lost significant Balkan territories, which intensified the competition among major powers for control over its remaining lands. These rivalries produced a complex system of alliances: the Triple Entente between France, Britain, and Russia, and the Triple Alliance between Germany, Austria, Hungary, and Italy, though Italy later switched sides. With these alliances, any local crisis had the potential to escalate into a full-scale war, as every nation's security became intertwined with that of its allies. In this tense environment, the immediate spark occurred: the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, on June 28, 1914, in Sarajevo, by a young Serbian nationalist from the Black Hand Society. Though seemingly a local incident, it ignited long-standing tensions. Austria-Hungary, with Germany's full backing, issued an ultimatum to Serbia, while Russia mobilized to support Serbia. Within weeks, diplomatic restraint collapsed and military mobilizations began. Austria declared war on Serbia, prompting Russian mobilization. Germany viewed this as a threat, declaring war on Russia and then on France. When Germany invaded neutral Belgium as part of the Schlieffen Plan, Britain declared war on Germany to defend Belgium and prevent German dominance in Europe. Thus, within weeks, a local conflict escalated into a global war. The Schlieffen Plan aimed to strike France quickly through Belgium before Russia could fully mobilize. The Germans advanced rapidly but were halted at the First Battle of the Marne in September 1914, causing the plan to fail and leading to trench warfare that would last for years along a line stretching from the North Sea to the Swiss border. The Western Front became a symbol of horror: muddy trenches, barbed wire, relentless artillery bombardments, snipers, and chemical weapons. Thousands of soldiers died for mere meters of land. Entire cities were devastated, and entire generations were decimated. Battles like Verdun and the Somme in 1916 resulted in over 1 million casualties on both sides. Meanwhile, the Eastern Front was more dynamic due to its vast territory. Russia initially made some gains, but suffered severe defeats against Germany, particularly at the Battle of Tannenberg in 1914. Continuous losses, economic decline, and popular unrest eventually led to the February Revolution of 1917, toppling the Tsarist regime. Later, the October Bolshevik Revolution, led by Lenin, decided to withdraw Russia from the war by signing the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk in 1918, freeing German forces to focus on the Western Front. The Ottoman Empire joined the war on the side of Germany and Austria-Hungary, opening new fronts in the Caucasus against Russia and in Sinai, Palestine, and Iraq against Britain. The Ottomans achieved notable victories, most famously the Gallipoli campaign, where British and French forces failed to capture Istanbul. However, they eventually lost large territories in Iraq and Palestine due to British military superiority and support for the Arab revolt led by Sharif Hussein. Italy entered the war in 1915 on the side of the Entente, lured by territorial promises at Austria-Hungary's expense. But the Italian front in the Alps was harsh, with grueling mountain warfare. Romania also joined in 1916, but quickly fell to German forces. The United States initially remained neutral, though public sympathy leaned toward Britain and France. Several factors, however, drew America into the war in 1917, including German submarine attacks, which sank civilian vessels such as the famous Lusitania, and Germany's attempt to convince Mexico to attack the U.S. America's entry shifted the balance, bringing massive economic and military support to the exhausted Allies. In 1918, Germany attempted to exploit Russia's withdrawal by launching the Spring Offensive on the Western Front. They made rapid gains initially but were halted by the Allies' reinforced defenses, including hundreds of thousands of American troops. By summer, the Allies launched successful counteroffensives, including the Second Battle of the Marne, forcing Germany to retreat. Domestically, Germany suffered from a severe naval blockade, food shortages, economic collapse, popular protests, and mutinies within the military. By October 1918, Germany's allies began to surrender. Bulgaria first, then the Ottoman Empire, followed by Austria-Hungary, which fragmented as its constituent nations declared independence. Germany ultimately sought an armistice. The armistice of November 11, 1918, at 11 a.m., marked the end of hostilities. Europe was forever changed. Destroyed cities, tens of millions of dead and wounded, lost generations, and the collapse of four empires: German, Austro-Hungarian, Russian, and Ottoman. The post-war Paris Peace Conference of 1919 produced the Treaty of Versailles, imposing harsh terms on Germany: territorial losses, military restrictions, reparations, and sole responsibility for the war. This treaty later contributed to the rise of Nazism in World War II. The war's impact was not only political, it reshaped the global economy. Women entered the workforce in unprecedented numbers. Military medicine advanced, and weapons technology evolved, including tanks, aircraft, and chemical warfare. The United States emerged as a global power, while European colonialism began its slow decline. Culturally, World War I left a profound mark. The lost generation in literature, widespread distrust in traditional political systems, and the rise of new ideologies like fascism and communism. The war, though seemingly between nations, was ultimately the result of decades of political miscalculations, nationalist tensions, colonial competition, and deadly modern technologies that turned Europe into a massive battlefield. Entire generations were lost, and the world emerged forever changed. The key lesson of World War I is clear. Complex alliances, extreme nationalism, arms races, and even a small misstep can escalate,